World Poker Tour. The biggest games, the greatest players, and the largest payouts on the planet. The WPT is a series of international high-stakes poker tournaments that can turn amateur players into millionaires and make professionals into superstars. With millions of dollars on the line, it's time for these 6 players to live the dream of fame, fortune, and the one thing money can't buy, a WPT title. Tonight, on the World Poker Tour.
The WPT lands in Atlantic City and smashes a multi-million-dollar record. So let's get our poker on, shall we? Shuffle up and deal.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the WPT. I'm Mike Sexton, along with Vince Van Patten, and we're just moments away from the start of the final table of one of the largest poker tournaments in Atlantic City history, the Borgata Poker Open.
That's right, Mike. The beautiful Borgata has outdone itself once again, breaking the Borgata Poker Open record of number of players willing to put up $10,000 shot at a WPT title. Well, Mike, they came in a tidal wave of players, pros and amateurs alike, to Atlantic City, all looking for poker stardom, but 554 players have now been washed out to sea. We're down to the final 6 survivors, all looking to take home the nearly $1.6 million first place prize.
Well, the dream of fame and fortune very much alive for our final 6, and that includes fan favorite Mike the Mouth Mattisau. Earlier this season, Mike came oh so close to capturing his dream of winning a WPT title. He's all but guaranteed himself a victory here tonight.
I say it right now. I mean, if I can't win this tournament, I'll never win a WPT. I believe that because I'm up against a bunch of idiots. And here's the field. You got 5 players. I got 1, 2, 3 weak type players, 1 pretty type player, and we're all of us who will come after me, but doesn't have chips. If I can't win with that lineup, I don't know what I can win. I'm being honest with you.
Mike's making his 3rd WPT final table. He's been playing great poker lately. And Vince, as you know, whenever Mattisau's at a final table, it is going to be entertaining.
It will be. Mouth is in the house. We also have 2 very familiar faces that are making their 2nd appearance on the World Poker Tour, and 3 very talented unknown players. One is the chip leader. He happens to be a doctor, and he's going to be looking to do a little surgery on his opponents this evening. All right, we are at Borgata by the sea. Let's go watch the boys gamble. All these talented players are chucking in their $5,000 antes. The blinds are going to be 40 and 80,000. You can just smell the salt in the air here in Atlantic City at the beautiful Borgata. Cards are flying. Action's going to be on the cash player from Vegas, Mark Weitzman.
Not just a cash player. He's played in the highest cash games in Las Vegas for a lot of years. Lays this hand down.
Into the mouth, Mike Mattisau, who has a queen-jack offsuit.
Raise it.
That's good enough for him to raise it. He pops it up, makes it $200,000 to go.
Next to act is Mr. Brooklyn, Eugene Todd. He's got a queen-5. Won't play that.
Scott Yoon going out as well.
Into the doctor, Mr. Winston. Got a king-5. Won't play that, so the only one to beat is Haralabos Vulgaris.
Haralabos, a superstar no-limit hold'em player, but opts to lay this hand down. So there you have it. The pro out of Las Vegas, Mike the Mouse Mattisau, off to a good start, takes down pot number 1. And Vince, he really believes destiny is on his side tonight. He really thinks tonight is the night that he's going to take down his dream of winning a WPT title.
He is fun to watch. Let's go table. It's going to be on him. He's got a 10-3 this time. Won't play that. Next to act is Eugene Todd. Mr. Brooklyn goes away.
Well, Scott Yoon folds his hand as well.
Into the doctor with the button, Roy Winston. He's got a king-jack this time.
Well, he's in position, as we say, on the button. Looks like he's getting out some raising chips, and indeed he is. He's going to make it $230,000 to go here with the king-jack.
All right, it's on Haralabos Vulgaris, whose name sort of sounds like a Middle Eastern food. You know, I'll take the lamb, the mint jelly, hold the Haralabos.
I'll tell you, these guys better hold him down, even though he's starting in 6th chip position. If he gets a hold of some chips, they better buckle up, because he is one dynamite no-limit hold'em player.
Well, he's got ace-8, but he's going to lay it down, and now it's on the cash game player from Vegas, Mark Weitzman. He's got ace-4 diamonds.
Mark is a poker expert. Ironically, no-limit hold'em probably not anywhere near his strongest game, but he's a math wizard. He's calculating the size of the pot, which is $380,000. Going to cost him another $150,000 to make the call. And he is going to play. So he makes the call. Over $500,000 in the pot right now. Mark the ace-4. Dr. Winston with the king-jack. Here comes a flop.
Flop comes up Jack 10-7, just what the doctor ordered. Top pair for him. Action's on Mark, who hit absolutely nothing there.
Well, Vince, it looks to me like he is reaching for chips. He is going to make a move to try to win this pot right here.
Does he dare do it?
400,000.
Oh, betting 400 grand with nothing.
Wow. And a bold play by Mark Weitzman early on at this final table. And the doctor saying to himself, hey, I raised before the flop. Did this guy lead out and bet into me if he had a real strong hand? I'm not so sure.
Well, you're right. Doctor's going to put the stethoscope on. Check the guy's pulse here a little bit.
Well, there's a potential straight out there and a possible flush, so many drawing possibilities, as we say. So if you flop top pair, you normally don't want to give your opponent a chance to draw at something that could beat you.
I'm going to raise.
Roy Winston says raise.
To the discomfort of Mark there.
Well, the sad puppy dog face look of Mark Weitzman.
$1 million.
Is because he's not going to be able to call this $1 million raise here.
Oh, boy, the doctor's saying, here's your 2 aspirin, now go to bed.
Well, I have no doubts Mark is going to go to bed on this hand, but he's just stalling a little bit here to try to represent that he's got some kind of hand, when in fact we know he doesn't.
Well, he was saying to himself, listen, if this guy didn't flop, I can push this amateur out, but he was dead wrong, and he finally has to lay down his hand. So the doctor extending his chip lead.
Listen, from Rancho Mirage, California. He's been a doctor for 20 years. Loves playing poker. That's his hobby. His other hobbies, Vince, are aerobatic flying and scuba diving. Not quite the norm for the doctors. Most doctors just play golf on Wednesday afternoon, don't they? This guy takes a plane up in the sky and does loop-de-loop.
Well, Mike, I'm thinking that after seeing Roy come in here with a chip lead, we may see just a rush of physicians looking to satellite into WPT tournaments. Because really, anyone who wants to has the chance to walk away a poker-made millionaire. And not just the doctors. Let's go back down to the table. It is going to be on Haralabos.
We saw him finish second in the LAPC back in season 3. He's won over $1 million out here on the World Poker Tour. He's looking to more than double that number tonight, Vince. Let's see what he's going to do with the Queen 10 of spade. He's going to raise it. Makes it $200,000 to go.
Now Mark Weitzman looks down at his hand. He will fold it.
Madisau out as well. Eugene Todd on the button now. Looks down at a small pair. He's got 2 4s. You always like to see flops with small pairs in hopes of hitting 3 of a kind.
Seen him before, the second appearance on the WPT. Will he call or will he raise?
Eugene, a very tough player as well. He's cashed 6 times on the World Poker Tour. It's not a bad feat, believe me. He's made the call.
Real estate man Scott Yoon going out. And now the doctor looking down at a 7-3. No, he won't play that.
So Haralabos with the Queen 10 of spade. Eugene Todd with the 2 4s. And flop comes Jack 9-6 with 2 clubs. Haralabos has flopped an open-end straight draw.
He is first to act, but he's going to check it. No continuation bet there. Into Mr. Brooklyn, who's got the pair of 4s. He's going to check it as well.
So here comes the turn card. Well, the ace of clubs comes off. Well, that's no help to Haralabos. Does give Eugene a first draw with his small pair, but Haralabos, he's going to try to pretend like he's got 2 aces here by betting out $230,000.
Yeah, he's going to put the pressure on Eugene Todd. Now, Mr. Brooklyn looking back down. And his uneventful pair of 4s. Does he know he's actually out in front at this point?
Man, he's got the best hand and the best draw, but neither one of those 2 are very good. So he lays down the 2 4s, and Haralabos Vulgaris taking down that pot. And the pretty girl you see there is Catherine. That's Haralabos' girlfriend.
That's right, and she is the one on the left. Fidel Castro on the right.
Oh, you're so bad.
The battle at the shore is just heating up. We'll be right back from the Borgata, so don't go away.
You're not the easiest person in the world to live with when I'm betting. I bet on NBA basketball, and my work is basically 8 hours a day watching basketball every day till the end of the basketball season. I watched every single game last year, and that's what I do. I prepared my girlfriend, Catherine, ahead of time. I was like, look, if you want to move in, just understand that I have 1 day a week, which is Thursday. That's date night, because there's only 2 games. And then the rest of the week, I'm working.
We play because poker's not a scratch-off ticket, a half-court jumper, or a knock on wood. It's no game of luck, poker. It's a game of patience and well-timed aggression. We know when we play, a little luck helps. But luck can't explain why final tables have so many familiar faces. We play at FullTiltPoker.com.
Last time I made the World Poker Tour, I kind of got screwed. I should have knocked Gavin out of the tournament. He got lucky and ended up knocking me out in 5th place.
Oh, he's done it! Gavin has the full house.
When you get to the final table, the first time, you think you'll get there again, but man, it seems a hell of a lot easier than it really is, It takes so much to actually make it down to the final table. It must have took me 40 events to get back where I'm at today. So you got to really, make sure you win this sucker, win this thing this time. That's for sure.
Welcome back to the Borgata Poker Open in Atlantic City, where 6 players remain here tonight on the World Poker Tour.
And the 2 amateurs at the table out front right now. Dr. Roy Winston, our chip leader, with over $6 million in chips. Second place, Scott Yoon with about $3 million. Mike Matusow right there with Carlos Fulgaris, Eugene Todd, and Mark Weitzman in 4th, 5th, and 6th place.
Started out 5 days ago. We are down to these 6 right now. It is going to be on the mouth. Mike Matusow looks down at a very impressive, big slick ace-king. And the mouth has been kind of quiet for a mouth tonight, huh? Wouldn't you say?
Trying to maintain his focus.
Where is it?
Comes in for $225,000 here.
Into Eugene Todd, Mr. Brooklyn, who also got another small pair of 3s this time.
Well, Vincent, back-to-back hands. He's picked up small pairs, but someone's raised in front of him.
What's up, kid?
Well, part of Eugene's problem here as well is that there's still 4 players yet to act behind him, even if he makes this call, but he doesn't. Lays down the 3s.
And now Scott Yoon, the real estate broker from Virginia, he's got ace-4 this time.
Lays his hand down. Roy Winston out as well.
And now it's on Haralabas, who has a queen-6 in the small blind. He won't play that. So the only one to beat is the math whiz, Mr. Mark. And he goes away.
So Mike Matusow picks up the blinds and antes, flips over the ace-king.
And just like that, the mouth gets fed again, raking in the chips.
Well, Vince, one thing the mouth was doing earlier all week long in this tournament is raving about the structure here. It's what we call a deep stack tournament. All the players in the tournament started with 30,000 in chips, meaning you could take a hit or two early on and still be alive in this tournament. He loves this structure.
Well, all the final players usually love the structure. They rave about it.
Well, you got a point there.
All right, back to the table on Mr. Brooklyn, Eugene Todd. And this time he picks up big slick, ace-king of diamonds.
Well, very nice
Doesn't
hand.
look like it's moving now.
Let's see what Eugene's going to do with it.
And Mr. Brooklyn's going to put the chips out there with a raise.
Yep, he bets $240,000 here.
Scott Yoon folding into the anesthesiologist. He won't play.
How much is it?
Now it's around the Haralabas. And look at this, Vince. He has looked down and found 2 aces.
Oh.
He's got bullets, as we say.
Oh.
He is looking to shoot down the Brooklynite right here. Usually when a guy raises under the gun, he's got a pretty strong hand. Haralabas knows that. He has the best hand possible, of course, the 2 aces. So what do you want to do to extract chips? As many as possible. How much to raise?
And look at Mr. Brooklyn looking across from the table. They're saying, forget about it.
75.
I got a big hand too, sir.
The raise $375,000.
Well, the raise is $375,000.
Mark Weitzman folding, mouth going out, back into Mr. Brooklyn.
Well, Vince, he is faced with a tough decision right now as to what to do. No doubt about that. Him and Haralabas have nearly the exact same amount of chips. Both of them with a little over 1.8 million in chips.
Well, this could be a complete disaster here for Eugene Todd. But what a big hand he has. Little does he know what a monster he's up against.
He raised it under the gun. He's been re-raised right now. It's the kind of hand generally, if you're going to play it, you may just go ahead and raise it all in right here. But that could spell doom for the New Yorker.
I'm all in.
Oh, boy.
Well, he's come over the top and gone all in. The dream words that you want to hear if you're Haralabas Vulgarius. He quickly calls him, obviously, with the 2 aces. And you can see the New Yorker shrugging his shoulders. Wow, what can I do here? I can't believe this guy's got 2 aces.
This is a knife fight for Mr. Brooklyn, and he is disgusted. We've seen him once before on the WPT. He bombed out early, but he's a great personality, and you can't blame him. How do you get away from this hand?
Well, the crowd on their feet. Here comes the flop. It's 10-7-4. That is no good for Eugene. He's now got to catch 2 runners, and they both got to be paint cards of some sort. Either a running queen-jack or 2 running kings. That is all. If it's not a Picasso card on the turn, he's going to sit back down and be all in the big blind. And there it is. The 3 of hearts comes off. So it doesn't matter what the river card is. Haralabos Voulgaris has doubled up, crippling the New Yorker.
Well, I don't think he realizes it. He almost wanted to shake hands and just get the heck out, but he does realize he has a few extra chips sticking around, so he gets to stay.
Eugene Todd taking a big hit there, Vince.
Oh, yes, he did. And Haralabos sticking it to him. Mr. Brooklyn in trouble. Stay tuned. 6 players still remain here in the World Poker Tournament.
At the Borgata Hotel, Casino, and Spa. We got one of the greatest casinos in Atlantic City, if not the country. You know, we just look forward to hosting this great tournament. First prize is over $1.5 million, and the prize pool was over $5.4 million. So we're ecstatic. Anytime you can bring 560 top poker players from all over the world here, playing for that kind of stakes, hey, it's all good.
Welcome back to the World Poker Tour. The Borgata Poker Open continues. 6 players remain. But it's almost like 5 1/8 because Eugene Todd, Mr. Brooklyn, just getting whacked on that last hand down to his last 25,000.
Well, 5,000 goes in for an ante. The other 20,000 goes into the big blind. And the big blind's supposed to be 80,000. So he only has a quarter of the amount of the big blind left in this tournament. In the meantime, Haralabos Voulgaris, who started his final table in 6th chip position, is now in 2nd place. And now it's over to Haralabos. He looks down at the 5-3 of spade. He's going to call 80,000. He can't just call the 20,000. You must call the size of the big blind, at least what it's supposed to be.
Well, these guys can smell blood. They all want to take out Mr. Brooklyn right now. Mark Weitzman with the button has a 6-5 of clubs. He is pondering this.
I'll call that too.
Well, he's going to make the call also.
And now the mouth, who has an uneventful 4-9, but got some money in the pot already. And he's going to call.
Well, Vince, I don't blame him. There's 350,000 out there. Cost him 40,000 more to call.
And Eugene Todd actually with a pair of 8s.
So Eugene well out front right here to more than quadruple up.
Oh, boy, that's a rare thing in a poker game. Quad up.
The problem he's got to beat 3 other players.
Yeah.
Not easy to do.
And there's a side pot already existing that Eugene Todd cannot win, even if he should win.
And already we've got 180,000 in the side pot, which is more than the main pot.
Will this be the last hand Eugene Todd sees? We will see. Here come the first 3.
Now flop comes Jack 8-3 with 2 clubs. Eugene has flopped 3 8s.
And look at him looking back. Actually disgusted and disheartened. Why do you pick up a set when you have no money? He's thinking to himself.
Well, you're right, Vince. That's exactly what he's thinking. But in the meantime, Mark Weitzman has flopped a flush draw, and he's going to bet here, Vince.
Yeah, and he's going to push the mouth out. He goes out. Haralabos with a pair of 3s not going to play.
Now, most of the time when a guy's all in, you might not bet, but because the side pot is bigger than the main pot, I think Mark's making a good bet right here to pick up that 180,000.
Well, he has done so. They turn up the hands, and we got a club flush draw up against a set.
So Mark needs a club that's not the 3 of clubs to eliminate Eugene Todd from this tournament.
Eugene Todd good-natured about it.
What the hell's the difference, bro? I think I don't even know if I want to leave or I want to stay, bro.
Eugene not knowing whether he wants to stay or go. Confused at this hand, and here's the turn.
Well, he's staying, Vince. He just made a full house on the turn, even though Mark made the flush.
Ironic right there.
Well, there you see Eugene's fan club high-fiving each other and clapping. He's going to take down this pot. And you remember that movie Saturday Night Fever, Vince? Well, the hit song in that movie was Staying Alive, and that's what Eugene Todd is doing right here. He is staying alive.
Oh, yes, as his fan base claps wildly. Mr. Brooklyn sticking around.
To move up a place means absolutely nothing to me at all. I don't care if I go out 6th, if I go out 5th, if I go out 4th, if I go out 3rd, I'm 2nd, I don't know, whatever. In poker, you definitely have to be ready to die because eventually you're going to die anyway. Only one guy's coming out of this day happy. Because even if you come in second place, you know, you're still upset because you didn't win. Yo, the Borgata, man! I definitely feel I have a home field advantage because I live an hour and a half away. So from, you know, this is the closest destination of all the WPT places that I play in. Today I'm going to bring all my friends in to come down, my family. So if any place is home, this is home, you know? I used to be a stockbroker about 10 years ago. There's definitely correlations between playing the stock market and playing poker. You're gambling and there's got to be well-timed aggression. Obviously, the most important thing in both of them is timing. In poker, at some point in time, you have to play back at somebody. And even if you don't have a hand, you're going to have to gamble somewhere along the line.
Just like that, Mr. Brooklyn says, hey, I'm walking here. I'm back in this game. 6 players remain.
Well, in truth, Vince, he's still just crawling in terms of chip count.
He quadrupled up,
well,
Mike.
He's got to win another pot before he's walking again, believe me. He was just still crawling with his amount of chips. Not that many chips. He didn't even have enough to put in the big blinds. But still, happy to be alive. No doubt about it.
He still has another bite of the pizza pie here. It's going to be on the doctor. Roy Winston, Rancho Mirage, California. He's the chip leader. This time he has an 8-4 of hearts. He elects to fold.
Rolibus looking down at a queen 3, lays it down.
And now Mark Weitzman gets out of the way.
Matusow out as well, and here you go.
Eugene Todd kissing his chips goodbye. Puts them in with the king jack.
Well, you can't blame him for going all in there. And now Vince, Scott Yoon, who's known to be one of the tightest players you'll ever see at a poker table. Hard to believe he's not going to call this bet with 25,000. You have to call it. Well over 200,000 out there. You're getting such pot odds. You must make the call here. Plus, you have a chance to eliminate a player. And indeed, Scott does make the call. He just has a queen 5 offsuit, but makes a correct call. Now let's see if he can get lucky and eliminate Eugene Todd from this tournament. Well, flop comes ace, jack 10, all clubs. So all of a sudden, a queen will not help Scott. He now needs a king to make an ace high straight to win this pot. 2 running clubs will give him a split. There's 1 running club. Well, for Scott to win this pot, he's going to have to catch a king that's not the king of clubs. If it's king of clubs, they'd split the pot, obviously. Well, the 5 of hearts comes off, so there you go. In back-to-back pots, Eugene Todd has quadrupled up and now doubled up.
Tough to push around a guy from Brooklyn, Mike.
All the players smiling on the outside, but believe me, on the inside, their stomachs are gut-wrenched right now. You always want someone to go out so you can move up in prize money and get closer to taking down that title.
From Atlantic City, the Borgata Poker Open continues. Make sure you stay tuned for more on the WPT.
I gotta play tight. When we cut down to 7 players, I only play like a couple hands in 6 hours.
I think he's got more patience than Mother Teresa.
Someone who's patient like that can be very dangerous to play against.
This guy didn't play 45 straight hands while he was the short stack. When this guy puts his money in, man,
Let's gamble.
I think I might have to lay kings down against this guy.
Welcome back to the Borgata Poker Open from Atlantic City. 6 players still remain. Eugene Todd, surviving another hand, sticks around. The doctor's still out in front, Roy Winston, with about 6.3 million. All right, and now the action's been folded around to the small blind. Scott Yoon.
Well, he's picked up the hand he's been waiting for, Vince. He's got the 2 aces. He's in the small blind. Let's see how he plays them.
Raise.
Well, he is going to raise it. Let's see how much he's going to raise it. Wow, he's raised it 300,000. To me, that's an awful big raise here, with the blind just being 40 and 80,000.
But look at this. The doctor also with a hand. Pair of 10s wired. Caps his cards.
Vince, the doctor could be getting in big trouble here. It's a real big hand out of the blind position when nobody else has played the pot. But against this guy, you may take a more conservative route. The doctor doing just that. Just calls with the 2 10s. Does not re-raise here.
Well, he's just playing his man because usually when a guy over-raises a little bit, you come over the top with 10s. But here's the flop. King 4-3, 2 hearts.
Well, action's on Scott. He's out in front with the 2 aces.
Real estate man from Virginia got in this tournament through a $240 satellite. Look at this. He's going to check the aces.
Yeah, I'm going to try to set a trap here.
Check.
Hopes the doctor would bet, but wisely the doctor checks his 2 10s right behind him. Well, 6 of spade comes off, so potential straight out there. 2 potential flushes, but you're certainly not going to put anybody on a straight here because of the way the pot was played pre-flop. Well, Scott is going to bet $300,000 here into a pot that has nearly $800,000 in it.
I'm going to raise.
And the doctor, misdiagnosing his hand here, says raise.
Well, Vince, I think it's the size of the bet that's fooled the doctor here. He thinks the 2-10s are the best hand. The guy didn't bet on the flop, so he didn't put him on a king.
500,000 more.
He's making a raise here to try to take the pot away from him.
800,000 to go.
It's a $500,000 raise here.
Back into the amateur Scott Youn.
Well, Vince, right now the only thing going through Scott's mind is did his opponent flop a set or does he have a set now? You're not going to put him on a straight here. You're not going to put him on a 7-5 or a deuce 5 because he would have never called a $300,000 raise before the flop with one of those two hands. He might have some type of flush draw in this situation, in which case you don't want to give him a free card here. But I think if you're Scott Youn, you just have to come over the top of him right now and just hope he doesn't have a set.
Yeah, but Mike, this guy is an amateur player. You know, he won his entry into this event in a $240 satellite. And to be honest, it's his first WPT final table, and it's not easy out there under the lights. Plenty of times we've seen the top pros crack like Joe Namath's knees under the pressure. You know, there's really no telling what Scott will do next.
Scott made an over raise before the flop. He's made an underbet here and got raised. What's he going to do with two aces now? Could he possibly be thinking about folding these, Vince? No, he's going to make the call. He doesn't raise with the two aces. I'm a little puzzled by that. If a 10 comes off here, he's going to get broke, that's for sure.
Coming down the river now. Look at this. I think a big mistake by Mr. Youn. He is checked already before the card comes up. Checked in the blind.
Well, the king of clubs comes up. Well, the doctor does check on the river, but the two aces of Scott Youn is going to take down this pot. He waited for the aces. They came in, and he won a nice pot there, well over $2 million.
Right there, the doctor pricking himself with his own needle there.
Scott jumps back into second place right now with over $4 million in chips after taking down that pot.
The winner's going to take home close to $1.6 million here tonight. It's going to be on Mark Weitzman.
He lays his hand down. Mike Matusow now with the queen 9 of diamonds.
Here we go, 3 for 3 for Mike.
He's going to limp in and make the call. Calls 80,000 with it.
To Eugene Todd, who has an ace-8. And he's thinking about this.
Well, Vince, I don't blame him. Just can't expect Matusow to have that big a hand, or he would have raised it coming in, unless he's trying to trap. But even then, if you pick up an ace high, you've only got a couple $100,000 left. You're sort of desperate. Desperate people have to do desperate things at the poker table. And right now, you have to sense that Eugene's got to have that desperate feeling anyway, because he's so short on chips.
Well, big decision for him, but yes, he is going to go all in with it.
He wanted to go all in there. He forgot he had his cards capped by one of those $5,000 chips. So in truth, he's bet $225,000.
Well, Scott Youn is folded. The doctor's out. Haralaba's not playing, so back around, of course, to Matusow.
Well, I didn't go all in, right? I don't know how this work, right?
Oh, he's going to probably put you all in a second.
Well, Vince, he does have to play. I think so, too. Over $450,000 in the pot.
That's all.
Cost him $145,000 to set him all in. He's done it with the queen 9 of diamonds. Eugene Todd out in front with the ace high right now. And Vince, if he wins this pot, he's going to have over $600,000 in chips after being down to $20,000 and all in the big blind. He's got the queen 9 of diamonds. He's up against the ace 8.
He's on a bit of a roll, a comeback roll.
Sweating it hard.
But this could turn around quickly. Will he be our 6th place finisher here tonight at Borgata?
Well, he's on his feet, all smiles, out in front right here. Knows if he wins this pot, he's back in this thing, Vince. Can he double up yet again? Oh, a great flop for Eugene. It's come ace 6-3, all black. He's shaking his finger. He said, boys, don't count me out yet here.
Good timing by Mr. Brooklyn.
Well, he's got a few moves there, too. Well, Mike's got to catch a combination of 2 queens or 2 9s or a queen 9, and it doesn't happen. 6 of clubs comes on the turn. So Eugene Todd is going to double up yet again. This guy's got more lives than a cat, Vince.
He is going to stick around. Eugene Todd. 6 players remain at Borgata. Stay tuned. We're coming back with more action on the WPT.
Matusow, of course I'm going to win today, man. But I said that before. I want to win bad. I'll win it. I can't lose today. You know, I don't want to sit there and say, I'm going to win today, I'm going to win today, and then not win and then look like an idiot, you know?
It's a king of diamonds. That's going to do it. Mike Matusow, our runner-up.
All the tournament players love the structure in this tournament. It's very, very slow, but I'm not a tournament player. I'm mainly a cash game player. I'm sort of like semi-retired now. I'm not used to playing these long hours. It's a huge amount of work. I'd like it to be much faster. I'd like it to be over with in like 2 days, not 5 days. But it's a large amount of money. It's a tough way to make an easy living.
We are back at the Borgata Poker Open, where 5 days ago, 560 players started. You're down to these 6 right now, and the doctor's still out in front with about $5.1 million in chips.
Right behind him, Scott Yoon with about $3.8 million in second place. Geralamos Figueres in third place with a little over $3.5 million.
And the winner's going to take home close to $1.6 million here tonight. It's going to be on the mouth. Mike Matusow, he's going to muck a 9-10. Mr. Brooklyn now with a king 5 goes away.
Well, Scott Yoon folding as well, as is Dr. Winston. So we're down to the 2 blinds. Geralamos peeks down to Jack 9 offsuit. He looks over at Mark's stack. Want to know how many chips Mark's got. He sees it's about $1 million.
I'm all in.
And Geralamos says all in.
Well, he's just trying to take the pot right here, right now. Against an ace-3, it might work.
I call.
But Mark Weitzman is going to make the call.
Wow, he coolly makes a brilliant call.
He just figured that if a guy had a real giant hand, why would he move all in and want to shut me out? He'd want action, wouldn't he? Mark felt the ace-high was the best hand. He went with it. If he gets unlucky, he's going to be out in 6th place. But win or lose this pot, you've got to salute that call for all your money in that situation. Well, the flop comes 10-10-7 with 2 hearts. This gives Geralamos a straight draw, so he can now win the pot with a jack, a 9, or an 8.
Here's the turn card, not there. It's a 6 of spades, not going to help Geralamos.
So we are down to the river. Mark Weitzman only needs to dodge a jack, a 9, or an 8 to double up and stay alive here. Let's see if he can do it. It's a 4 hearts on the river. So Mark Weitzman making a very nice call there with the ace-3 for all his money to double up.
This is a very clever player, but I like his attitude about it. Not bragging about it, just a cool, calm, collected, brilliant call, taking home the money.
Been playing high-stakes poker for a lot of years. And Vince, I'm talking about playing against the best players in the world. He was in with Chip Reese and Doyle Brunson way back when. Just hasn't played that many tournaments in his life. And he told me, Mike, I'm not sure about these tournaments, you know. When I play poker now, I only like to play about 5-6 hours a day. That's about all I can take. When I come out here in the World Poker Tour, they make me play 10-12 hours a day. It's tough on me. Doesn't look like it's too tough, Vince. Here he is at the final table fighting it out for this title. He looks down at an ace-5 offsuit. Doubled up the last pot, feeling good right now. He's in what we call the cutoff position here, 1 away from the button.
Gonna raise.
And he is going to raise it.
75 more.
And he's going to make it $225,000 to go here. Matusow quickly out.
And now Mr. Brooklyn, Eugene Todd, looking down at an ace-3 offsuit in the small blind. Has a little money in there already.
How much? What the hell's the difference to me? How much, bro?
175.
Right?
He's only got about $500,000 in chips. The bet's $225,000 to him.
This would be a complete disaster here because we know Mark with the ace-5, Eugene with ace-3.
It doesn't matter. You don't have to take the money in because I'm not going to call anyway.
And he said it doesn't matter what he bets. If I play, it's going to be for all my chips. The question is, does he want to go with this hand? Nope. Opts to lay it down here.
Yeah, he escapes. And now Scott Yoon with a 9-10 of clubs. He's in the big blind. He's got money in there.
And he's got that suited connector. The kind of hand you like to see flops with if you're a poker player. Going to cost him another $145,000 to make the call. And he's doing it, Vince.
Check.
Well, again, Scott checking in the dark here before the cards even come out there. And the flop comes Queen 8-4. So Scott flopped a gut shot straight draw. Action is on Mark Weitzman.
Who hit nothing right there, but he did raise before the flop.
Yeah, he's playing against a very tight player, too. So that makes it easier to pull the trigger to try to bet to steal these pots. He's going to bet $300,000 here on this flop. Now let's see what Scott's going to do with his gut shot straight draw. Does have a backdoor flush draw as well, but
Scott, who's usually tighter than OJ's glove, is actually pondering this right now. What is he thinking? Is he going to make a move here? Going to stick around?
Well, Vance, he should be thinking he has the tightest image in the world at the table.
He does.
And so if he calls or raises here, Poor Mike Weitzman will be just out of this pot like a rocket ship.
Make it 600.
He is going to raise it here. Doubles the bet, makes it $600,000 to go.
Oh, man, he's going to change gears, and it's going to work.
Well, of course it's going to work, Vince, because he has the image of being an extremely tight player. And when he raises the pot, no matter the amount, you're going to fly the coop unless you've got a big hand.
Perhaps we underestimated the real estate broker from Virginia, Scott Young, taking down that pot, stealing it away. And right now, 6 players still remain in Borgata. Stay tuned. We're coming back with more action on the WPT.
It's not easy to do it. I tell people all the time, man, you think it's easy to get to a WPT final table? You think it's easy that you got to go through 500 or 1,000 people every time? You got to just play good. And when you get here, you got to get it done, man. You don't get many chances.
We'll talk about a penny for your thoughts. Mike the Mouth Matusow in overdrive right there. Welcome back to the World Poker Tour. We are coming from Borgata for the Borgata Poker Open.
Well, Vince Matusow's right about one thing. It's not easy to get to these WPT final tables.
No, you're right about that. All right, let's go down to the table. It's going to be on Mark Weitzman. He's got about $1.7 million. He looks at his cards. An awful-looking 3-deuce. Won't play that.
Matusow going out.
I'm all in.
Then quickly, Eugene Todd going all in with the ace-deuce of diamonds here.
Yeah, he's putting his chips in. Scott Young folding. Doctor going out. And now Haralabis.
Is it?
The only one to get detached here. He has an ace-8 in the big blind.
Haralabis has got him dominated. Ace-8 versus ace-deuce.
Oh, this would be a sweet call to bust out Mr. Brooklyn.
Well, Vince, it's going to cost him another $400,000 to make the call. Do you want to do it and double up this guy where he would have over $1 million in chips?
Well, and it's just a miracle that Eugene has been able to exist after the first hit early on with Big Slick, but he is still with us.
Haralabis lays the hand down. Eugene is going to be very happy about that.
Haralabis lays one down, baby.
So Eugene Todd coming back nicely in this tournament. Remember, he was down to $25,000 at one point. $5,000 went in the ante. The other $20,000 went in the big blind. And yet here he is, over $500,000 again.
No hot dogs at Coney Island for the Brooklynite quite yet. It's going to be on Scott Young, the father of 2 from Virginia, the amateur player. And seat 1, and this time he looks down at a huge hand, ace-king of spades.
Poker is not about how you think you play, whether you're tight or aggressive. It's the image you project to the other players at the table. And certainly Scott's image is being a very tight player.
Well, we saw him make a move with 9-10 before. That was impressive. He mixed up his game, but this time, back with quality hand right now.
Raise.
And believe me, when Scott raises under the gun in first position like this, these guys are going to give him credit for having a hand. Look how quickly the doctor folded king-queen right there.
Yeah, Haralabis out. Now Mark Weitzman will fold his queen 4. Mouth out. Only one to beat is going to be Eugene Todd, and he's got an ace-4. He's in the big blind.
Well, against some super aggressive players, you might consider playing this hand, as we saw Mark Weitzman do with an ace-3 a minute ago for all his money. But against this guy, I just can't see you playing an ace-rag.
Well, he's looking defeated, and he flashes the ace, and he goes away.
So Scott Young takes down that pot. And Vince, what can you say about this guy? He got in this tournament on a $240 satellite. His biggest poker cash ever is like $160, yet here he is going for $1.5 million tonight.
I'm the luckiest player in the world right now. I never played a big tournament like this. I started about 2 years ago, but I checked the internet and they have a WPT tournament here, so why don't I give it a shot? I'm a very lucky guy and happy to be here. It's only lucky, that's it. Without it, I have no chance. I've never been on TV before. This is my first time in my life. When I get in there, I'll be maybe nervous. But I'm going to try my best. If I get lucky, then I might going to win tournament. Who knows? There's always beginner's luck.
Well, Vince, Scott says what you've been saying all along, that you got to have a lot of luck to get to these final tables and win these tournaments.
Oh, man, I don't believe in luck. Just give me back my rabbit's foot and I'll be okay. All right, back to the table. And so the amateur player from Rancho Mirage, California, the Dr. Roy Winston. He's an anesthesiologist, and this time he's picked up ace-7 of diamonds.
Well, still our chip leader, but not by much now.
I raise.
He's been very quiet as of late, and this time he's going to raise.
Not too quiet here with the ace-7 of diamonds. Going to make it 230,000 to go here.
Yes, he is. Next to act is Horolibus vulgaris. No relation to Vetus gerulaitis.
And he's got the suited connectors, the 9-8 of diamonds, but opts to lay it down.
Yes, he does. Mark out.
Now over to Mike Matusow here. Mike picks up the ace-queen of spade on the button. He's going to make the call with it.
And now Eugene Todd with the 7 deuce.
Nah.
And he's just stalling for airtime here because he only has a 7 deuce. Short stack. You know he's not going to play that hand. He lays it down.
And now Scott Yoon with a king 8. Can't expect him to play, although he's in the big blind. Already has some money in there.
It's going to cost him another 150,000 to make the call. He's not doing it. So 2 players in the pot. Dr. Roy Winston with the ace-7 of diamonds. Mike Matusow with the ace-queen of spade. Here comes a flop. Oh, it's come ace-queen-4 with 2 diamonds.
Matusow flopping top 2 pair, aces and queens.
And the doctor flopping top pair with the nut flush draw. He checks. But Mike Matusow with top 2 pair is going to make a wager. You can't blame him. He bets 325,000.
Well, top 2 pair, not going to play it slow.
And let's see what the doctor's going to do here, Vince.
I raise.
Oh, whoa.
Well, he is going to raise it here. Vince will be very shocked if Matusow doesn't come over the top here for all his money. You flop top 2 pair, you're going to go with it.
900,000.
I can tell you that.
An additional $900,000 by the doctor.
Mullen. I call.
And then all in over the top by Matusow, and a quick call by the doctor.
Well, Vince, you can't blame either player for getting all their money in here. Mike Matusow has the top 2 pair. He's got the best hand. His opponent's got a flush draw.
Come on, Diamond.
Mike about a 70% favorite to win the pot and double up to take the monster chip lead at this final table.
Calling Dr. Winston to the emergency room. Potential problems here with 2 cards to come.
Well,
can he spike his card and knock the mount out of this event?
Well, he needs a diamond, Vince.
Time.
That's what it's going to take for him.
Time, please.
Look at Mike Matusow. One time, just let my hand stand up. I played perfect poker all week long. I'm in the spot to take the big chip lead here and run over these guys. Just let my top 2 pair hold up.
Here comes the turn.
Oh, it's a deuce of diamonds on the turn. Just that quickly, the doctor is taking the lead by making the flush, and Mike Matusow must now catch an ace or queen on the river, or Vince, he's going to be out of here in 6th place.
Oh, man, the doctor giving the mouth a blood clot right there.
Well, Vince, look at the look on Mike Matusow's face right here. Shock, devastation, unbelievable. The king of diamonds comes on the river, and just that quickly, Mike Matusow is going to be out in 6th place. And he's devastated, Vince. Absolutely devastated. Really thought he was going to win this tournament.
Well, he's walking away. Didn't shake anyone's hand. He is walking out in complete despair. Mike Matusow, the mouth, quieted here this evening.
Well, Vince, what he saw happen was one guy go all in 3 or 4 times and win every pot. Then the other guy went all in, Mark Weitzman. He won his pot when he was all in. It takes its toll on you. You finally get your money in there with the top 2 pair, and the guy makes a flush to knock you out of the tournament. It is devastating to you, folks. I can tell you, it is tough to take.
Well, the doctor, the anesthesiologist, going to put Mike the Mouth to sleep. He is gone, and right now, the Mouth is going up to talk to Layla.
Thanks, guys. Mike, you played your heart out in this tournament. Can you believe what Roy did to you out there?
Well, we never played a pot. We played together for 12 hours yesterday. I really never played a pot with him. He raised under the gun. He made a min raise, and I just thought he had like a marginal king queen, maybe a weak ace, and I was pretty confident that I had the best hand there, but I wanted to see a flop in position either way. I win that hand, I win the tournament. I got $5 million in chips. I got a third of the chips, and I would have won the World Series in 04 if a diamond didn't hit. I would have won the World Series in 05 if it didn't come running hearts.
But you can't think woulda, shoulda, coulda, because
I can't hit the open end straight or a flush draw in the Bellagio Cup to win the tournament, and they have a real time running off here. And as you see, those are 4 situations where I got deep, and all 4 I got. So that's okay.
Well, just like that, Mike the Mouth Matusow, the pro from Las Vegas, out in 6th place, Vince. Devastating blow to Mike.
No, Dr. Koldeck got him right there. Knocked out the Mouth. We are down to 5 players. Stay tuned. We're coming back with more action in just a moment here on the WPT.
Is he bluffing? Could be. German shepherds, huh? I don't trust Germans. 2 cards. Could mean anything. Let's raise the stakes, frighten them off.
No one to play with.
Darn.
So play online at partypoker.com. It's fun, it's easy, it's the world's largest poker room.
All right, okay.
Welcome back to the Borgata Poker Open. I'm Layla Cayley, and here's how the opening half to this record-setting tournament has gone so far. With a table full of determined pros and hopeful amateurs, the race for millions had barely begun along the Jersey Shore before the title dreams of Eugene Todd quickly ran aground. But with less than a small blind left, Mr. Brooklyn righted his ship and put himself back on course for a WPT title. There would be no comeback, however, for Mike the Mouth Mattisau when his latest shot at Poker Glory was shipped to the rail by a doctor in the house. With a coveted WPT title and the $1.6 million first place prize still up for grabs, 2 amateurs and 3 pros have survived a record-breaking field this long. Which one can hold out to be the last man standing? And now back to the 2 best bets in town, Mike Sexton and Vince Van Patten.
Welcome back to the World Poker Tour. The Borgata Poker Open continues, but 5-handed Mike the Mouth had to be dismissed. We're down to 5.
Well, it's the first time I've ever seen the guy speechless, Vince, but he was after getting eliminated from this tournament. Our current chip leader, however, is the Dr. Roy Winston. He's sitting on about $7.2 million now in chips. Second place, Scott Yoon with nearly $4.8 million. Third place, Mark Weitzman with about $2.2 million. Geralmus Voulgaris sitting on about $2 million in the short now. Eugene Todd with less than $500,000.
Back to this hand, Geralmus quickly folding. Mark Weitzman with his Motown hand. Jackson 5s, he goes out.
Since I just made some money.
Now, Eugene Todd on the button. Looks down at 2 3s, and he's setting all his chips out there. I don't blame him. You got a small pair. You're on the button. Everybody's folded to you. Put your chips out there. That's what Eugene has done here.
Well, you would think, but look at this monster behind him, Scott Yoon. He has picked up big slick, a tremendous hand.
I call.
Well, he does make the call with the ace-king.
Yeah, Mr. Brooklyn wincing when he hears that. But right behind him now, the doctor with a predicament. He's got ace-queen.
Does he want to get involved?
Is that it?
And Yoon took so much time there with this call.
All total is how much?
Maybe this ace-queen could be out in front.
Well, Vince, he could very well think that. Certainly a pretty big hand, no doubt about it. He knows Eugene could go in with anything in this spot on the button.
This is crazy.
Well, the doctor has euthanized 1 player tonight. He'd like to euthanize 2, perhaps.
I was going to raise, but I just call.
Scott says, I was going to raise it, but I just decided not to. And upon those words...
Good drop there.
The doctor going out. Nice lay down by him. It just shows you the respect that he gives for Scott Yoon.
Hey, it's 50-50, man.
And I'm sure he respected him more by calling than he did the raise by Eugene.
Classic raise situation about to happen. Pair of 3s up against ace-king. Mr. Brooklyn, can he do it one more time and stick around?
Well, Vince, if he does, he'll have over $1 million in chips after coming back from being all in the big blind with just $20,000. That is amazing. But still, he's got to win the race to do it. He's been lucky every time he's been all in so far tonight. Let's see if the lucky streak continues.
And here is the flop.
Let's come Jack, 9-7. So far, so good for the Brooklynite. Right now, he's got a dodge an ace or a king. 2 running cards to make it straight. Or if the board pairs twice, he would also lose the pot.
All right. Will his hand stay up?
Well, a deuce comes off. So we are down to the river. Scott Yoon must catch an ace or a king to eliminate Eugene Todd from this tournament. If not, Eugene with well over $1 million in chips again when he couldn't even put the big blind up just a little while back. Scott looking for ace or a king. Oh, no! It's a king! A devastating blow for Eugene Todd.
That is just wrong.
High fives all around. Vince, he could have had well over $1 million in chips had he won that pot. What a comeback he was in the process of making. Couldn't dodge an ace or a king on the river. Out in 5th place.
Just a crippling card there for Eugene Todd. A good sport. going to go home with $325,000, and right now he's going up to talk to Layla.
Thanks, guys. Eugene, it looked like you had it because you kept going down, you kept coming back up. You were so relentless. What happened out there?
Once I got crippled, I knew that I was going to be all in the next hand after I won that one. I knew I had somewhat of a chance if I can somehow double up the next hand. Got lucky, obviously, doubled up once and doubled up again, and then I was, right back in there. The third time, if the king doesn't fall in the river, I would have had over $1 million. So I would, I would have had at least a fighting chance. But, this cards, that's what happens. It's poker.
And we are down to 4 players at the Borgata Poker Open. Stay with us. We're coming back for more on the WPT.
As an anesthesiologist, you sit there and study people, and you look at things like heart rate and sweat response, and a lot of those things that you're monitoring in a game. I can look at someone's neck, and I can pretty much take their pulse, and I can do it when they're not in a hand, when they're in a hand they have the nuts, and in a hand that they're bluffing with. Once I got those 3 numbers there, it's very hard for them to play me.
Welcome back to the World Poker Tour. We're at the Borgata Poker Open. I'm Vince Van Patten with Mike Sexton, and we are down to 4 players.
Our current chip leader is Dr. Roy Winston. He's got about $7.2 million in chips. Second place, Scott Yoon, about $5.3 million. Mark Weitzman in third place with about $2.2. And in fourth place, Geralibus Vulgaris with $2 million.
All right, well, we are having a great time at Borgata here this week in beautiful Atlantic City. And look at this, Mike Matusow, the mouth is back.
A very nice gesture by Mike Matusow. Came back, shook the hands of the remaining players. You can feel his pain right now, Vince. He thought he was going to win this tournament tonight, and he is devastated.
Now he is back to his old mouth, and he is gone. Let's go back to the table. Mark Weitzman quickly folding this hand, and now it's around to the real estate guy from Virginia, the man that got into this tournament through a $240 satellite, Scott Yoon. He's got King 10 this time.
What a parlay he's going to make, no matter where he finishes.
Just call.
He's going to limp in and call on the button with the King 10.
Doctor quickly folding a Queen 5, and Geralibus Vulgaris with a King 9, content to see the flop.
On a nice flop for Geralibus. He's now out in front with a pair of 9s.
Well, he quickly checks it. Scott Yoon didn't raise before the flop, and he's going to check right there. 8 of diamonds on the turn, helping neither player. Again back on Geralibus.
Now he checks again. I'm a little surprised at that.
150.
Ooh.
Well, Scott's going to bet $150,000 now. Now, Vince, because he's an amateur, you don't really know if he's making a value bet here, or what he thinks is a value bet, or if he thinks he's trying to bluff.
Well, I think Geralibus has trapped him nicely here. He knows the guy doesn't have an ace. He would have raised before the flop, so he's got to feel good about this. He calls it.
Well, he doesn't want to trap himself here, Vince, so he's just playing it conservative and just calling. Oh. And now a 9 comes off on the river. Geralibus has 3 9s. The only hand that can beat him now is a full house.
375.
Now, Vince, Geralibus smart enough to recognize that if he bets here, it could look like he had some type of drawing hand on the turn and just bluffing here at the river. He's bet $375,000 here. And Scott Yoon could very well be wondering if Geralibus had some type of drawing hand on the turn, which would mean his king high would be the best hand right here.
That is true. He might be thinking that, but we also know that he is tighter than a Joan Rivers facelift, this guy. He doesn't call off many hands with just king high.
But remember how this hand was played. Geralibus checked on the flop, checked on the turn, all of a sudden comes out betting on the river. Couldn't he very well have a Jack 10 or a 6-7 or something like that?
You're thinking about raising.
Now look at this Geralibus with a little double talk. You're thinking about raising. Trying to get his guy to make a move here. No doubt.
Well, let's see if that chatter entices Scott to make a play here. Well, Scott is going to lay this hand down.
Yeah, does the right thing there.
Well, Geralibus a little disgusted there as he mucks his hand quickly there.
What happened to the raise? What happened to the raise? No, you had a hand that was either good for a fold or all in. Is that what you're saying?
Look at Geralibus doing a little double talk there.
Well, he's thinking, well, now I wish he'd have checked. Maybe the guy would have bet on the river. Who knows what might have happened? As it was, he didn't pick up any more chips. And when you're a tough player like Geralibus, you're always thinking, how could I get more value out of that hand?
My name is Geralibus Vulgaris, and I'm a sports bettor. I started playing cards because I saw the WPT, and I was like, who are these crazy people, and what are they doing? The first time I ever played poker live in a casino was at a WPT tournament.
Geralibus takes a commanding chip lead in this tournament.
I decided to pick it up from there.
Well, you know, he's a very, very exciting player. He's only been playing poker for a few years.
Well, in poker, he's a specialist. Only plays no-limit hold'em, but he plays both tournaments and high-stakes cash games.
Cards are flying. Action's going to be on Mark Weitzman, the cash game player from Vegas. Very tough, solid player. He's going to fold a king-6 right here. Now Scott Yoon with the button. He's got ace-deuce. Pretty tight player, this Scott Yoon is, but now four-handed. You got to open it up, and he's going to do that with a nice raise.
Well, give him credit. He's raising here with his hand. Makes it $265,000 to go.
Into Doc. And the doctor has a pair of deuces.
I call.
He's also got over $7.8 million in chips, so he's going to make this call with the Ducks.
Haralabos Vulgaris already in the big blind.
He looks down at 9-6 of hearts. A lot of money out there. $670,000 in the pot. Going to cost him another $165,000 to make the call, and he's doing it. And three-way action here, and the crowd loving it. And here comes that flop. Let's come 8-4-3 with two diamonds. Not much help to anybody.
It's going to be on the dock.
He's out front with the two deuces. Remember, it was Scott Yoon that raised the pot.
$600,000.
Well, look at this. Doc with just the deuce is going to bet $600,000.
Well, Vince, he just hoped these guys got aces and face cards and no pairs. He's going to take a stab at this pot right here with the Ducks. Going to try to make them quack.
Haralabos getting out of the way. Back on the original razor.
Well, Scott Yoon has a straight draw. 5 would give him a straight. And Betsy's also got the image of being a very solid player. So if he would make a raise in this situation, Dr. Winston might abandon ship here and give his opponent credit for having a big overpair, but it's easier said than done.
Well, that's because we know he only has deuces, doesn't have a flush draw, doesn't have a straight draw.
Now, Vince, notice he just shook his head no.
Yeah, if you're bluffing, that's a good bet.
Very obvious this flop did not help him in there.
Well, unless he's a complete wonderful actor, which I doubt, he's really exposing himself, putting up the white flag.
No bluff. If you muck, I'll show you.
Now look at this. The doctor is saying, I got the hand, I'll show you.
I fold. I have a hand, but I couldn't call you.
Wow.
Well, the doctor just trying to get him out, and it works.
I had you dominated.
The two Ducks of the doctor are quacking here. He is going to take down this pot, and what a nice bet on the flop by Dr. Winston right there. Over $800,000 in the pot. He went after it and picked it up by making a nice bet.
You're watching the best poker on television right here on the World Poker Tour.
Swimming was my biggest sport. I swam in high school and college. I actually think what draws people to poker is we get a little older, we're not so good in sports anymore. It's the challenge of competition. It makes it like the old days when you're in your early 20s being able to compete hard in sports.
Welcome back to the WPT as the Borgata Poker Open continues from Atlantic City. 4 players remain tonight, and the Dr. Roy Winston is out in front with about $8.4 million.
And Vince, he is playing some good poker here tonight, as he has all week long, to get in this position to have this chip lead with 4 players left.
Second chip position is the real estate man from Virginia, Scott Yoon, with 4.5. Haralabos Vulgaris, 2.2. Mark Weitzman, the cash player, has about 1.6 million.
Action's going to be on Scott.
This is your card.
Down to the 9-7, lays it down.
Dr. Winston, he's got a 10-6 offsuit, goes out.
So we're down to the 2 blinds. We've seen these guys tangle before tonight.
On to Haralabos, he's got a 9-5.
Certainly not a very good hand. The last time he raised out of the small blind, Mark Weitzman went all in with the ace-3 in the big blind.
275.
Well, he's going to do a little stealing here. He's going to push it up. Going to make it $275,000 to go.
Let me correct you, Vince. He's going to attempt to steal, but it's not going to work because Mark Weitzman has picked up ace-king in the big blind. Now, we know Mark is going to play this pot. It's just a matter of how you play it. Do you slow play it and just call here? Do you raise it? If you raise, how much do you raise?
Well, Big Slick has been the big hand this evening.
Well, the last time Haralabos raised out of the small blind this position, he went all in with a jack-9 offsuit. Mark beat him in the pot almost with an ace-3, double up. So let's see what he's going to do this time with the ace-king.
I'm all in.
Well, he's going all in. He's just not going to fool around.
Oops.
And quickly, Haralabos going out. So Haralabos Vulgaris has got to think that Mark Weitzman is starting to become a pretty big thorn in his side.
Well, we have seen Big Slick come up many times tonight, been very successful on all occasions.
And Mark, who doesn't play many tournaments, just doesn't like them because of the long hours they take to play. proving himself a very worthy tournament player this week.
Action's going to be on Geralibus Vulgaris. And this time he has picked up a wired pair of 7s.
He's got the 2 walking sticks. It looks like he's going to walk some chips out there into this pot. Well, he is going to raise it. He makes it 200,000 to go. Now, that's the minimum raise you can make here with blinds at 50 and 100,000.
Mark Weitzman folding a queen 7. Scott Yoon out.
A little scary min raise under the gun there at me.
Dr. Winston just pointed out the minimum raise. That's a little scarier than a big raise.
I meant to make it 200.
Well, the doctor's going to call with the 7-6 offsuit, and here goes the flop.
The flop comes 9-9-4.
Didn't help Doc. He's first to act. And he's going to check.
Geralibus reaching for chips. Gotta love this flop if you have a pair of 7s. It's coming over pair and an undercard with no straight or flush possibility. Geralibus must. He's going to bet. This time he steps it up a bit. Bets 425,000.
Left.
Yes, he does. Now look at the doctor saying how much you got left.
Oh, wow.
Is he considering a move here?
Yeah, Vance. Well, he certainly acts like he's going to play this hand. He's going through the Academy Award motions anyway for it. Remember, folks, he just has a 7-6. Has absolutely nothing.
Oh,
so the anguish could only be for a bluff possibility.
This Doc should be auditioning for ER. I mean, I tell you, he's got moves here.
All right, gonna take it down.
Well, he does lay it down. So Geralibus is going to pick up that pot with the 2 7s.
You got a 4? Pocket 7s. You had pocket 7s? I don't believe that.
I'm gonna see it on TV.
Oh, yes, and we have. Look at this. The doctor, this is like a breeding ground for liars.
Oh, man. Doc, you got to be careful. When you lie about your hand, you can't call out your opponent's 2 cards. They're not going to believe you.
I tell you, this doctor tells me I have 12 months to live. I'm going to question it.
Actually a pretty good hand.
Sounds a really good hand.
And they continue like frickin' frack. Liar over liar.
2-7 was a pretty good hand.
If you move, I call.
Just tall stories being told here at Borgata.
Turned into a game of liar's poker, hadn't it, Vince?
Very good. That's what poker is all about. Can't tell the truth. You're paid not to tell the truth here.
Well, lying, bluffing, stealing, it's all part of the game.
Scott Yoon now looks down to a 9 deuce of clubs.
He's out.
Now Dr. Winston with the button. He's got a big hand this time. Ace Queen of Hearts.
I raise.
A premium hand, especially against the 2 blinds.
300,000.
He's going to make it 300,000 to go.
Next in
300.
line, Geralibus. 9-7. Ejects his hand, and now Mark Weitzman with an ace 8 of diamonds in the big blind.
I'm all in.
I call.
Well, Mark has gone all in and was quickly called by Dr. Winston. And Mark Weitzman, the top pro player out of Las Vegas, up against it here. He is over a 2-1 underdog to stay alive in this tournament. He's going to have to get lucky to do so.
Well, Mark thought his hand might be out in front, that the guy was just pushing because he had the button, and he was correct. If he doesn't have that big of a hand, he's going to go away with this kind of raise, but he was wrong right now.
I haven't beaten Roy a pot this tournament. Maybe I'll get lucky one time.
Well, our chip leader, Roy Winston, with the ace queen of hearts, over a 2-1 favorite to take down this pot and eliminate Mark Weitzman from this tournament. See if he can do it. Well, it's come King Jack 6 with 2 diamonds. Notice that Roy is still out in front with the ace queen, but that Mark Weitzman has the nut flush draw.
About a black 10.
And wouldn't this be incredible if a diamond came off of there and Mark would win the pot the exact same way that Dr. Winston won it against Mike Mattisau.
I'll take a 10 of hearts right now and not complain.
Looking hopeful. Here comes the turn. Will he spike his card? Not there.
Well, the 7 of hearts comes on the turn. We are down to the river. Mark Weitzman must catch a diamond or an 8.
Went with the 8 of hearts now.
How about a black 10? Black
Can't
queen,
be the 8 of
black
hearts,
10,
though,
black deuce.
because that would give the doctor a flush.
The doctor would love to euthanize another player out of this event.
Deuce.
Will he do it?
Mark needing a diamond or a black 8. Otherwise, he's out in 4th place. Everybody holding their breath. Oh. The 5 of hearts comes off. So Roy Winston has done it. The doctor has operated on Mark Weitzman, and he sends him out of here.
Wow. Mark Weitzman, a true gentleman, shakes the hands. He is going to pick up $380,000 Is there a doctor in the house? Yes, there is. 3 players remain. We're coming back for more on the World Poker Tour.
Welcome back to the World Poker Tour. We're at the Borgata Poker Open where 3 players are left fighting it out for over $1.5 million.
Right now, the chip leader is a doctor from Rancho Mirage, California. Roy Winston, he has about 10.2 million. Scott Yoon with about 4 million. And Haralabos Voulgaris with 2.6. Back to the table, Roy Winston has raised with King 10.
300,000.
Can make it 300,000 to go.
Well, he's on the button. He's the big chip leader, so why not raise it?
Now, Haralabos right behind him has got a pretty attractive king-queen.
Well, Haralabos in 3rd chip position right now. Roy Winston well out front with over 10 million in chips. Neither one of the other guys have 4 million.
I'm all in.
And he's going for it right here, Vince. He's moved all in with the king-queen.
Yep, good instincts by Haralabos. Going to try to push the doctor out of this.
Well, Scott Yoon folds the king 6. Yeah, it's going to cost Doc about another $2.3 million to call, and all of a sudden, with that size raise, King 10 is liable to shrink up a little in events.
A little over 2.7.
And right now, the doctor trying to decipher, should he call, try to break Haralabos? We know it would be a very unwise decision.
Roy rubbing his hands together, goes into prayer mode.
Yes, he does.
Let's see if the poker gods are going to give him the right answer as to what to do here.
Calling Dr. Winston to the emergency ward.
Well, Vince, what he has going for him is he's the monster chip leader. Even if he played this pot and lost it, he would still have more than twice as many chips as anybody else at the table. So sometimes when you have that kind of chip lead, things are running well for you, you might just gamble.
And this doctor...
Do you want to call?
Does not like to drop a hand easily. He's going to make his man sweat.
Want to gamble a little bit?
Haralabos saying nothing.
Well, he would love to gamble if he knew the Doc had King 10, I can tell you that. He's afraid he's got ace deuce or something like that. Ace and a baby card.
Now, if Haralabos really had a big hand, he would not have the stiff neck he looks like he has right now. This is when you raise all in. With King Queen, you get that kind of neck.
All right, I'll let you live a little longer.
Oh.
Well, he finally gives it up.
And when you're doctor and you say, I'll let you live a little longer, he means it.
Well, Haralabos Voulgaris, a WPT millionaire, takes down that pot.
What's that?
Would you have King Jack? Ace 7?
Very close to King Jack, I have to tell you.
This time the doctor's not going to lie about it.
Well, he said I got close to that, I have to tell you, and he's got to be wondering, geez, how good is this guy? He can call my hand here. Pretty impressive.
All right. And we continue here. Play goes to Roy Winston, the doctor. He's been very impressive so far tonight. He has Queen 8. He's going to raise it again, make it 300,000. Haralabos right behind him with a king deuce offsuit. He goes out.
Now around to Scott Yoon in the big blind, who's picked up a nice hand. He's got a pair of 9s here. Now, Vince, in a 3-handed poker game, this is a huge hand. Very unlikely your opponent's going to have a pair of aces through 10s, a hand that could beat you. But Scott takes a conservative route and just calls with the 2 9s. Does not re-raise it. Wants to see a flop first. And flop is ace 10-3 with 2 diamonds. Not the kind of flop you're looking for with a couple 9s.
No, and it's going to be on Scott. He checks it.
Good.
Right behind him, the doctor, wanting no part of it, checks behind him.
Well, now the 8 of diamonds comes off. Now this gives the doctor 2 8s and a flush draw.
Again, Yoon is going to check. I tell you, this very conservative play. He's just letting this play get right away from him.
300,000.
Well, the doc's going to bet 300,000 here. I can't blame him. Got to think the 2 8s are probably the best hand here. He didn't get re-raised before the flop. Guy didn't bet on the flop, didn't bet on the turn. You got a pair of 8s and a flush draw. Why wouldn't you bet here? Well, Scott putting himself into a guessing situation right now. Something you don't want to do at the poker table. You don't want to be in a situation where you're the one put to the test as to whether you want to call or not and guess whether your opponent has it. The object of poker, put your opponent to the test. Let him guess whether you got it or not.
Well, extremely passive by Scott Yoon. That hand completely taken away from him.
Winston from Rancho Mirage, California. Been a physician for 20 years. Anesthesiologist. Is that how you pronounce that, Vince? You know, it's such a big word, I can't pronounce it, let alone do it for a job.
Anesthesiologist, yeah. And they're the ones that knock you out. They give you the needle, and next thing you know, you wake up 5 hours later. Or not.
I'm now semi-retired as an anesthesiologist, and lately I play poker for a living. My mother gives me a little bit of grief. She said she didn't send a kid off for an Ivy League education to go play poker. And now she and my father will be here today watching me, which will be great. If I win today, hopefully this will make her proud. But I feel like I have to live my life for myself. I practiced medicine for 20 years before going into this route. I've done stuff in the past that I think was more for other people in medicine, and now I'm having fun with this for a little while.
Well, I tell you, you got two amateur players at the table, a doctor and a real estate guy. But the doctor, you know, he might be an amateur, but he's an experienced amateur. He knows what to do. I don't think the real estate man, Mr. Yoon, is quite up to snuff right now. All right, action is on Haralabos. He picks up a queen nine of spades.
Well, he's going to bet $250,000 on this hand.
Yes, he is. Now Scott Yoon with a 9-8 folds, and now it's on the doctor who has an ace-4 offsuit.
Make it $750 total.
Wow, what a bet by the doctor here. Well, Vince, he says he thinks he reads people very well. He can read their pulse. We saw him make a great laydown against Haralabos a minute ago when he had king 10. Haralabos went all in with the king queen. And here he's coming over the top with just an ace-4 here.
Well, he's saying this guy has the button. I think he's up to no good. I don't think he's that strong. I'm going to take it down with my ace high. What a raise.
Well, Haralabos trying to figure out what to do now. It's going to cost him another $500,000 to make the call.
I'm all in.
Wow, he's going all in right here and quickly called by Dr. Winston with the ace-4 offsuit. Just incredible. I really think Haralabos might have made a little bobble right there. After going all in after his opponent had put in $700,000. Remember, he's got a huge chip lead, and he's getting a pretty good price to call there for just another $2 million.
I think he's shocked that this guy would call with ace-4.
Well, Vince, there was $3.8 million in the pot. It's going to cost him $2.2 million to make this call.
Well, you're right. He might have been priced in at that point, but what a quick call by an amateur, so-called amateur doctor. All right, Haralabos, a slight dog. Here we go.
Well, flop comes Jack 7-3, all different suits. Haralabos is going to have to catch two runners to make a straight, two runners to catch a flush, or a queen or a 9. Haralabos Vulgaris needs help to stay alive.
Yes, he does.
Well, the doctor saying be small, be small. Indeed it was. The 4 of clubs, so we are down to the river. Haralabos Vulgaris, the sports bettor, the top-notch no-limit hold'em player, is going to have to catch a queen or a 9 on the river, or he's going to be out of here.
Nice.
Can he pull it out? No!
Well, the 4 comes up. You see the emotion by Dr. Winston right there. Not only did he win to take a commanding lead in this heads-up battle, he eliminated the player he most feared if he had to play.
Haralabos Vulgaris, our third-place finisher, $434,000 he will receive here tonight.
Well, as is the custom on the World Poker Tour, we get down to heads up. We have our money presentation, and out come the Borgata babes carrying the cash.
Oh, what a beautiful sight. The bricks of cash being thrust down on the table. This is every poker player's dream.
Well, Vance, you can only imagine the excitement that these two guys are going through right now. Two amateurs. They've knocked out all the pros at the table, and they're now fighting it out for this title and over $1.5 million.
Well, it is very exciting. We have Dr. Koldeck up against long shot Scott Yoon, two amateurs. Who will take the 1.6? Stay tuned. We're coming back with the action in just a moment. Welcome back to the World Poker Tour. Heads-up battle about to begin at the Borgata Poker Open. And it is Dr. Roy Winston with 13.4. Scott Yoon, the real estate man from Virginia, with about 3.3 million. Cards have been dealt. Action's going to be on the dock. Antes are up to 10,000. Blinds is 60 and 120. And the doctor's going to call this.
And Scott looks down at a 9-7.
He's not going to raise it, so here's the flop, Mike.
Check. Scott, whose biggest prize money ever was $168. And if he wins this tournament, Vince, you can add about 4 zeros to that number.
Well, look, the flop comes up 5-3 deuce. They both check. And now a 7 hits Scott Yoon. Pair of 7s. On him to act first.
200.
And he's going to bet $200,000 here after pairing the 7s.
But Doc has an open-ended straight draw. He's made this call.
Well, he is making the call. Here comes the river card, King of Hearts. No help to either player. Scott checks.
600.
And Roy bet 600 trying to bluff at this pot.
Doc betting with just zip and pit. Call 600,000, but he's been called down by Scott Yoon.
Good call.
You would think it's an easy call for Scott to make here the way this hand was played. Yes, I don't like the way the doc played this hand at all. He didn't raise before the flop. He didn't bet on the flop when he had the open in straight. Then he called on the turn when he didn't have any money invested in the pot, and then he tried to bluff at the river. So in my view, he made 4 strikes in the same hand. Deserved to lose that pot.
Every once in a while, a doctor misdiagnoses a patient. What are you going to do?
Well, he's still got the big chip lead in this heads-up battle. And Vince, even though these guys came to this final table in first and second chip position, as they are now, I don't think hardly anyone would have predicted that this final would have come down to these two guys with 4 of the pros sitting at that table.
Well, the lines have definitely been blurred between amateur and pro on the World Poker Tour. Let's go back down to the money pit. It's going to be on Scott Yoon this time with a queen deuce of diamonds.
Well, he's on the button, meaning he acts first before the flop and after post-flop. Here he's going to make the call, limps in and calls.
He's 300,000.
But the doctor right behind him with ace-10 of clubs says raise.
Well, Vince, you got to feel like this is the best hand when your opponent limps in on the button. Dr. Winston feels that way, and he pops it up 300,000 more.
Back on Scott. Just got a queen deuce of diamonds. He'd like to see the flop, of course, but getting expensive here.
Well, I'm not sure you want to see the flop when your opponent's raised you 300,000 before the flop, and you've only got queen deuce. Will he make the call?
Raise.
Wow, forget about calling, Vince.
Whoa.
He is going to raise it with a queen deuce here. All of us that called this guy an extremely tight player.
Shame on us.
We better get the white out and erase that remark.
Now look at this. He has raised only 300,000.
I'll call you.
Which is usually the sign of a very strong hand. We know he doesn't have that great of a hand.
And I check to you in the dark.
Well,
interesting poker going on here.
There's over 1.2 million in the pot. Only cost Roy 300,000 more to call. Of course you're going to call it with ace-10 of clubs. And he's checked in the dark and he's hit the 2 aces.
Scott Yoon hitting a piece of that.
Well, he's got the bottom pair. He's got the 2 ducks. But he checks also.
Yep.
So both players checking on this flop. Now the 7 of spade comes off. No help to either player.
I check.
Again, Roy checks. And Vince, I'm convinced he's checking because he doesn't want to get trapped into a real big pot situation here. Meaning if he let out and bet and the guy came over the top of him, what do you do now? Well, let's see what Scott's going to do here on the turn.
400.
He's going to bet 400,000 with just 2 deuces.
You just don't know what Scott has. Roy knows that.
I call.
He's suspicious of it, but he is going to make this call. He wants to get in cheap.
I check to you one more time in the dark.
And again, he checks in the dark.
Give him a lot of pressure.
With the ace-10.
River card comes up.
Queen of clubs on the river. Scott Yoon has now made the best hand. He has queens and deuces.
What a sick card that is. Absolutely amazing. What a suck out.
Well, again, Roy checks. And this time, Scott bets 500,000.
I call.
He's quickly called by Roy, and Roy is not going to like it when he sees this hand. He's also going to be a little stunned by it, the way this hand was played. But, Vince, I got to tell you, when a guy calls you on the turn in that situation, and you make 2 pair on the river like that, why you only bet 500,000 into a pot that's got nearly 2.4 million in it? When you're trailing in chips is bewildering to me. I think you have to bet at least $1 million in that spot, if not more.
Well, the real estate man from Virginia nevertheless takes home a pretty good one. Who will become the next WPT Poker-made millionaire? Stay tuned.
We play for big pots, small stakes, and the chance to say, read 'em and weep. For the weekends, the all-nighters, and the lunch hour. We play for the legends and for the unknowns who dream of winning it all. For the bad beats and the pocket kings we sometimes have the sense to fold. We play at FullTiltPoker.com.
Welcome back to the Borgata Poker Open. It's a Cinderella story versus a doctor. Heads-up action continues. Let's get back to the table.
Well, it's getting a little more expensive to play here in Atlantic City. The antes and blinds are going up. $20,000 antes. The blinds will be 100 and 200 grand.
Right now, Roy Winston has about a 2-to-1 chip lead over Scott Yoon. But as we know, when you're playing heads-up poker, things can turn around quickly. Action's on Roy Winston. He looks down at an ace-7 offsuit, and he limps in and calls.
Right behind him, Scott Yoon picking up big slick ace-king of clubs.
I'm going to raise.
Sure you are. Raise it at 500,000 more. Well, the doc says he's good at reading people. Can he get away from this hand in a heads-up situation?
I'm all in.
Wow, forget about getting away from it. He's gone all in here with the A7 offsuit. And Vince Scott Youn hanging his head on. Instead, he should be using jumping jacks. He should be thrilled to get his money in with this hand, I would think.
Well, this is something you do in real estate, actually, when you're close to selling a house.
Wow, you had aces. You have aces. Wow.
Scott thinks he might have the two aces. I think part of his problem as a poker player is he always gives credit to his opponent for having the best hand possible. That's very difficult to do, but it's seemingly Scott does that all the time with his opponents.
Well, he's thinking the worst at this point, but we know in heads-up action, it's a rare thing when...
If I call, whoever wins. Good game, okay?
Oh, look at this.
Well, he says good game. To me, that means he's going to call
And then he is going to call.
Well, he does make the call.
I'm dead. I'm dead.
Come on! Well, he is pumped up right now. And why not, Vince? As the cards lie, he's nearly a 3-1 favorite to win this pot.
Come on, baby. Let's do it.
Well, all of a sudden, Scott Youn has got a lot of energy here. And why not? He knows if he wins this pot, he's going to have about a 2-1 lead over Roy Winston.
Come on, sevens.
And Roy's held a dominating chip lead all day long at this final table.
The doctor on the stretcher right now. He's calculating this move. Gets called.
Vince, I'm surprised by that all-in bet by Roy. As tight as Scott plays, you got to give him credit for a better hand than that, perhaps. Why not just make the call and see a flop before you do anything? But let's see if it works out for him. Roy Winston going to have to get lucky to win this pot. Scott Youn can't believe it. He's out in front. Could Cinderella put on the glass slipper right here, Vince?
What a moment for both these players. Let's take a look at this flop.
Well, it's come Jack, Jack 10.
Keep it high all the way.
He said keep him high. Well, he got a 30-point flop, Vince. You can't get him much higher than that.
Come on, give me quick.
Diamond or a 10.
Well, Roy's looking for backdoor diamonds. He'd like to have a 10 also. That would give him a split pot. A 7 would give him the best hand.
Scott Youn just 2 cards away from doubling up and becoming our new chip leader.
Come on, 7 of diamonds.
Here we go with the turn card.
Oh, it's a 10. So right now, both players have the same hand. You see the elation of Roy and the disappointment of Scott right there with that turn card, because both players are playing the same hand.
Kickers out the window. Disappointment for Scott Youn.
Well, Scott looking for an ace, a king, or a queen. Any of those cards will win the platform.
And to become our chip leader, here it is. It's a deuce of hearts. Not going to do it for Scott. It's a chop.
Well, in poker, many times a tie is like kissing your sister. But on this occasion, for Roy Winston, a tie is like French kissing Miss America. It's beautiful.
The doctor escapes the malpractice suit. He's staying alive. Stay tuned. We're coming back with more action on the WPT. Welcome back to the World Poker Tour. The Borgata Poker Open continues. Heads-up action between two so-called amateur players going after $1.6 million. Right now, it is Dr. Roy Winston out in front with close to $11 million, up against the real estate man from Virginia, Scott Youn. He's got close to $6 million.
And Vince, in poker like soccer, sometimes a tie is a good thing. Well, believe me, in that last pot, Roy Winston was thrilled to get a tie out of that hand, as he should have been. I think it's going to bode well for him.
Okay, cards in the air once again, being dealt. And now Roy Winston, the doc, looks down at his hand. It's a wired pair of 4s. Not too bad.
Well, he doesn't raise with them, Vince. He's just going to limp in and make the call with the 2 4s.
Might into Scott Youn now. Scott has picked up this hand, keeps coming back. Ace, king, big slick again.
Wow.
700 on top.
He's going to raise it 700,000 more, makes it 900,000 straight.
I call.
And it's quickly called.
Wow, that fast?
By Roy Winston with the 2 4s.
We got a monster pot brewing here. 4s up against ace, king. Here's the first 3.
Bingo, bango, bongo. The doc has flopped a set. Just what he was dreaming about.
Queen, 6, 4. Can you believe it?
Well, action's on Scott.
Well, he quickly checks it, and now Roy Winston, the doc, is going to bet out. Not afraid of chasing his player away. Bets $1 million.
Well, he bets $1 million, and look at this. Scott Youn eyeing his chips here.
like he wants to play this pot.
Well, this is not the flop he wanted for sure.
Make it 3 million.
I'm all in.
He's going to make it $3 million to go.
And the duck goes all in, and he gets quickly called by Scott Youn.
Wow. Bang, bang, bang. Bet, raise, call just that quick. And Vince, this could do it right here. Scott Youn drawing nearly completely dead here. He must make an ace-high straight to win this pot to stay alive in this tournament.
Listen, no matter what
if it
happens,
doesn't come a jack or a 10 on the turn, this tournament is over.
Even if it comes king, king, or ace, ace, that won't do it because Roy will have a full house.
You got me real good that.
Right now, Roy Winston, the dominating favorite here to take down this WPT title right now. Scott Youn had the ace-king, a big hand heads up. Not a big flop for him, though. He tried to make a move with the ace-king. It didn't work as Roy flopped the set. And unless a jack or a 10 comes off here, this tournament is history.
Here comes the turn card.
Well, it's a deuce of diamonds. That's going to do it.
Yeah, it's over.
Roy Winston is a WPT champion. Well, Vince, you got to say the doctor did a lot of nice operating on these guys at this final table tonight. Got lucky a couple times, took advantage of it, went on, crossed the finish line. He takes home the title and has become the 78th WPT Poker-Made millionaire. And here's to the champion of the Borgata Poker Open, Dr. Roy Winston. For Vince Van Patten, Layla Cayley, and everyone at the World Poker Tour, I'm Mike Sexton saying thanks for watching. And until next time, may all your cards be live.
On the next World Poker Tour, 6 of poker's best female players
Oh, I look good.
in this year's toughest final table test.